Have you ever wondered if capitalism is truly the best economic system for society? Noam Chomsky, a renowned linguist and philosopher, certainly did. His critique of capitalism offers a unique perspective on the economic system that governs much of our world today. Chomsky's analysis starts with a simple yet provocative assertion. Capitalism, in its current form, concentrates wealth and power in the hands of a select few. The existence of billionaires, multinational corporations with GDPs larger than some nations, and the stark disparity between the haves and the have-nots, he argues, are not anomalies, but features of a system designed to benefit the elite. This concentration of wealth, Chomsky posits, creates an illusion of free markets. We are led to believe that anyone can succeed if they work hard enough or have a revolutionary idea. But the reality, according to Chomsky, is starkly different. The markets are not free. They are manipulated, controlled, and rigged in favor of those who already hold power and wealth. Furthermore, Chomsky critiques capitalism for its detrimental effects on social mobility and equality. The dream of rising from rags to riches, he argues, is more myth than reality in a capitalist society. The system, rather than providing equal opportunities for all, perpetuates a cycle of poverty and wealth, where the rich get richer and the poor struggle to break free from the shackles of economic hardship. But perhaps the most damning critique Chomsky presents is how capitalism influences our perception of democracy. We are led to believe that our voices matter, that we live in a society where each person's vote counts equally. But Chomsky suggests that this is merely an illusion. In a capitalist society, the real power lies not with the people, but with the wealthy elite. Their interests dictate policy, their wealth buys influence, and their control over resources shapes societal direction. Capitalism, as Chomsky argues, isn't as free or as fair as it seems. It's a system that, under the guise of freedom and opportunity, perpetuates inequality, stifles true democracy, and concentrates power in the hands of a select few. Think about the last news story you watched. Was it truly objective, or was there an underlying agenda? Chomsky presents a provocative perspective on this matter. His theory of manufacturing consent delves into the often unperceived role of media in our society, not just as a disseminator of information but as an entity that shapes public opinion. It's not merely about reporting what's happening in the world, it's about constructing narratives that serve particular interests. Consider the media's portrayal of political events, economic policies, or social issues. According to Chomsky, these are rarely presented in an unbiased manner. Instead, they're often framed within a narrative that subtly aligns with corporate interests or a particular political ideology. The media, in this respect, becomes a vehicle for directing public opinion, subtly guiding our thoughts and reactions to align with a predetermined agenda. But the manipulation doesn't stop there. Chomsky argues that the media also plays a significant role in diverting public attention away from systemic issues. By focusing on sensational stories or divisive issues, the media can keep the public's gaze fixed on the surface, preventing us from seeing the deeper, structural problems of our society. This diversion acts as a smokescreen, keeping us occupied with the spectacle while the real issues go unaddressed. The narratives spun by the media, according to Chomsky, often serve to uphold the status quo. They perpetuate ideas and beliefs that support the interests of the elite, those who hold economic and political power. This manipulation is subtle, often unnoticed, yet it has a profound impact on our perception of the world, our values, and our behaviors. In this light, the media, as Chomsky sees it, is more than just a source of news. It's a tool for control. It shapes our understanding of reality, guides our attention, and influences our thoughts and actions. It's a mechanism that, in the hands of the powerful, can be used to manipulate public opinion, maintain power structures, and ensure the continuation of a system that serves the interests of the few at the expense of the many. Media, according to Chomsky, is more than just a source of news, it's a tool for control. Democracy is about power to the people, right? But who truly holds this power? In Noam Chomsky's critique of modern society, he challenges our understanding of democracy in a capitalist system. He argues that the power, rather than residing with the masses, is concentrated in the hands of a select few. The illusion of choice, the manipulation of public opinion, and the concentration of real power are all part of the capitalist game. According to Chomsky, democracy in a capitalist society is a carefully crafted illusion. It's a mirage in the desert of economic inequality and social immobility. We're led to believe that our choices matter, that we can influence the direction of our society through our votes and our voices. But are these choices truly ours? or are they simply the options that the elite allow us? Consider the myriad of products we can choose from in any supermarket aisle. We might think we're making a choice based on our preferences, needs, and budget, but in reality, these options are presented to us by corporations with their own interests at heart. They dictate what is available to us, and we choose within the parameters they set. This illusion of choice extends beyond the supermarket to the ballot box, the news we consume, and the narratives we accept as truth. Chomsky argues that public opinion is not formed organically. It's manipulated, shaped by media outlets controlled by corporate interests. These entities craft narratives that align with their interests, distracting us from systemic issues and focusing our attention on topics that maintain the status quo. This manipulation is so subtle and pervasive that we often don't recognize it for what it is. In this democracy of illusion, real power is concentrated in the hands of the elite. It's the wealthy few who dictate policy and societal direction, not the voting masses. The facade of democracy serves to maintain this power structure, keeping the majority passive and the elite in control. Democracy, in Chomsky's view, is more illusion than reality. In a capitalist society, the power to the people is a comforting myth, a smokescreen that hides the concentration of power and the manipulation of choice. Can capitalism and democracy truly coexist? This is a question that Chomsky grapples with in his critique of modern society. He contends that capitalism, particularly in its unregulated form, inherently undermines democratic principles by concentrating wealth and power in the hands of a select few. This, he argues, is diametrically opposed to the democratic ideal that power should reside with the people, the collective majority. According to Chomsky, capitalism promotes a system of competition and individualism that often leads to vast disparities in wealth and opportunity. While it claims to champion free markets and individual freedoms, it often results in monopolies and oligarchies, where a handful of wealthy elites and corporations control vast resources and societal direction. This, in turn, creates a power imbalance, where those with wealth can influence policymaking to further their own interests, often at the expense of the broader population. Chomsky argues that the democratic process becomes a mere facade, as real power is stripped from the hands of the people and placed in the hands of a privileged few. In this capitalist system, corporations play a significant role. They do not just influence economic policy, but they also shape societal values and norms, often through control of the media. This allows them to craft narratives that maintain the status quo and divert attention from systemic issues that challenge their power and wealth. Chomsky's critique points to an inherent conflict between capitalism and democracy. While capitalism thrives on competition and individualism, democracy relies on cooperation and collective decision-making. Unfettered capitalism, according to Chomsky, tends to erode these democratic values, leading to a society where wealth and power are concentrated, and the majority are left with an illusion of choice and power. For Chomsky, capitalism and democracy are more like oil and water than bread and butter. They may exist together in a society, but their fundamental principles often clash, leading to the erosion of true democracy. As we navigate our way through the complexities of our modern world, Chomsky's critique invites us to question and challenge the structures that govern our lives. Are elections really about the people's choice, or just a spectacle to maintain the status quo? This question rings in our ears as we delve into Noam Chomsky's perspective on the spectacle of elections. Chomsky presents a compelling argument that elections as we know them are less about the democratic process and more about illusion and distraction. He posits that these events, often heralded as the cornerstone of democracy, are in fact meticulously designed performances. They're orchestrated to give the impression of choice and agency to the public, while in essence perpetuating a system that serves the interests of a wealthy few. Rather than focusing on substantive policy debates that could potentially instigate systemic change, elections often devolve into personality contests. The public's attention is skillfully steered towards the charisma of the candidates, their personal lives, their quirks, and their promises. This diversion allows the underlying structures of power and wealth concentration to remain unchallenged and intact. In this way, the spectacle of elections becomes an essential tool in the arsenal of control. It's a grand show filled with sound and fury, signifying, according to Chomsky, very little. The real issues, the ones that sit at the heart of our societal structure, are expertly obscured by the smoke and mirrors of campaign promises and political rhetoric. This critique does not aim to discourage participation in elections, but to encourage a more critical and informed view of the process. It urges us to look beyond the spectacle, to question the narratives we're presented with, and to demand more from our representatives. In essence, Chomsky's perspective exposes elections not as a celebration of democracy, but as a carefully crafted distraction. They serve to maintain the illusion of choice and the semblance of power in the hands of the people, while ensuring that the status quo remains undisturbed. Elections, as Chomsky sees them, are less about democracy and more about distraction. The question then stands, are we spectators in the spectacle, or can we become active participants in shaping our own future? Chomsky's critique paints a stark picture of our society, doesn't it? Through his exploration of capitalism's inherent contradictions, the media's role in shaping public opinion, and the illusion of democracy, Chomsky invites us to question the very structures that govern our lives. His analysis exposes a world where power is concentrated, consent is manufactured, and true democracy is undermined. So, next time you watch the news or vote in an election, remember Chomsky's words and ask yourself who truly holds the power.